This is the way the Oakland Raiders 12-4 2016/2017 season ends. Not with a whimper, but with Connor Cook throwing 3 interceptions against the Texans. Not exactly the way we all pictured this thing playing out. I mean, we all kind of assumed, Derek Carr wouldn't be crippled, in week 15 or week 16, 2 games left in the regular season. And then, have to go through Matt McGloin and Connor Cook and end up being a hobble team as a 5th seed, losing to Houston Texans. Nobody really anticipated that. Nobody wanted that to happen, and it's a really, really sour note to go out on. And I don't know about you, maybe it's just me, but the entire time watching this game, I'm like, this doesn't really feel like the Raiders. I mean, if you don't have Derek Carr in the backfield, I've never really felt like this Raiders team being focused on having one player in the backfield, that he's that important. But I mean, there's a lot of great players in the Raiders, but it's clear after this game, Derek Carr is what anchors all of that. Without him, we're the same team we were in 2006. We're the same team we were in 2012. Lots of very talented pieces, but without that one anchor point, that thing you can rest your hat on, we're going to lose more games than we win. And I think if you go back and look at the regular season, look at all the games Derek Carr pretty much single-handedly won for this team. And of course, not having him there and having a guy whose first professional start as a player was a playoff game in enemy territory. Well, I mean, not really a surprise what happened there. All right, so for those of you that didn't miss it, it's a 27-14 loss for the Raiders. Now, it could have been closer. I mean, I think towards the end of the third and a little bit in the fourth quarter, Connor Cook was getting a little bit warmed up, hitting really obscure targets of all people. Guys like Andre Holmes. Like, he's still on the team, and he's out there targeting him. He actually had more receptions and more yards than Amari Cooper or Michael Crabtree. So it started to get hot. But the thing is, he's still a kid. He only had 161 yards, got sacked 3 times, 3 interceptions. That's what killed us. Clearly, Brock Osweiler didn't do that much better. When you look at his stats, he went 14 for 25, 168 yards, 1 touchdown. Not exactly what you'd call a great quarterback performance compared to what Connor Cook did. He looked like Joe Montana, super glued to Tom Brady. So, yeah, just wasn't there. I mean, our day wasn't there. And you're going to argue back about whether or not Matt McGloin would have made a difference. I doubt it. I mean, this guy was clearly banged up. He must have been super duper hurt. And I think we're kind of at that point now where I'm going to do a video a little bit later on, before the draft approaches, about whether he's in to clean house. And I can think of at least one quarterback whose initials are MM who needs to be gone and gone immediately. But that's neither here nor there. Another huge problem, clearly the rushing game, offense and defense. Texans had 123 yards, 2 touchdowns. Raiders really had a hard time stopping Lamar Miller. Meanwhile, the Raiders rushers really didn't do much of anything. Latavius Murray had 39 yards, a touchdown, but that was pretty much it for offense. He was the only thing going on that one. They just couldn't get any yardage. And if you look at the really tight games where the Raiders performed the best, the run game was just bombing it. I mean, like the game against Indianapolis. Clearly the run game just blowing up. And, I hate to say it, but you look at how good that team was playing in Week 16 against the Colts. Where they're up like 33-16. You're just like, man, this team can just run roughshod of the competition. And this could be a Super Bowl caliber team. And, of course, Derek Carr got hurt, but we don't think about those horrible, horrible thoughts. But you look at that, and you're wondering, if you can get them clicking on all cylinders like that, if you had Derek Carr in the backfield, just how good would this team be? Well, we pretty much know how powerful and important Derek Carr is in this team, because without him, they suck. They suck like it's, the Jamarcus Russell era, where you have Terrell Pryor being your quarterback instead of a wide receiver. But that's pretty much it. I mean, Khalil Mack, he was still a monster. He had 11 tackles. Who else was out there? Not really a whole lot of other people really stepping up defensively. I mean, Bruce Irvin had 5 tackles. He's pretty good. But Reggie Nelson did pretty good in the back, out in the secondary. So, yeah, there's also a lot of defensive dead weight I think we can cut, and I'll get more on that in a later video. But, I mean, it is what it is. Do I think the Raiders had a shot? Not with Connor Cook. I mean, yeah, I said that in a prediction video, but you know what? I'm a homer. I was just being very optimistic. Do I think if we play this game 100 times out of 100 times, the Texans would win all of them? No, I think the Raiders, they'd win a little, but you got to have better performance. You got to have Amari Cooper and Michael Crabtree get those passes. You got to have Connor Cook not getting sacked, not throwing those stupid picks. You got to have the run game doing something. The Raiders could have won this game. Would have took a way more holistic effort And honestly, having Connor Cook is the guy anchoring the team, calling the shots. It's not going to happen. I mean, you might win 2 out of 100 times, but most times it's not there. And this team's defense is nowhere near, stacked enough to win games on its own. And you got to have the offense doing something at the beginning of the game. The defense coming as a closer. We've seen that plenty of times in the regular season. But just at this point, the Raiders are not there. So, yeah, it's a disappointing thing. But like I said, it didn't really feel like the Raiders were playing Saturday. It felt like there was some other team on the field that wasn't my team. That's how pivotal Derek Carr is to the squad. And I'm counting the days. I think, with Derek Carr coming back from injury, playing as well as he did this past season, I mean, he could set records. I mean, he can not only take his team to playoffs, we might just have a Super Bowl in 2018 as long as he stays healthy. There's a great O-line in place, a very good running back tandem, but you got to have all the pieces in place. You got to have Donald Penn, you got to have Kalichi Osmole, you got to have Rodney Hudson, and 2 of those guys were hurt during the game, so keep that in mind. So we've got a great O-line, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, a great trifecta of running backs, really good receivers. Defense, lots to work on there. That should be the sort of the emphasis for the offseason retooling. So we'll focus on that in a later video. But like I said, if Derek Carr was an MVP now, he certainly is. Look at how the Raiders played with him on the team, 12-4, winning games in the last second, and without Derek Carr. They lost the Broncos bad, and they lost the Texans very, very bad. So this is it's a real down note in Raiders history. It's one of those things where you just look at it and you just feel bad all over. It's like, man, why does this have to happen? It felt like we went in this like a hobbled, team. It's like, we just had a steel cage match and somebody came in and cashed in the Money in the Bank and beat us in 3 seconds. I mean, we're already beaten and bloody. It's not that fair. But, it is what it is, unfortunately. Term I hate. But I think it's in the long haul. You get over it. September is right around the corner. And I think we'll carry this over, and it'll give us some ammunition. It'll say, you know what, we're good enough. Derek Carr is good enough. Let's beef up the defense. Let's kind of cut the dead weight on the offense. Let's kind of condense this team into its pure essence. And I think next year, playoffs again, maybe an AFC title, and I'll see this team playing deep, deep into January. And just to kind of give you a little bit of hope here. I got a quote for you. I can't remember who said it, but he said, on the steps to greatness, you kind of go through 4 steps. First off, you lose a lot. And we saw that when Derek Carr first joined the Raiders, when they went, 3-13 and didn't win their first game until, week 10. Well, that's losing a little. Losing a lot. And then you start seeing the team get a little bit better. You see the team going in there and winning, or losing by a little. And we saw that in the 2015-2016 season where they went 7-9. Where he had so many games which came down to the wire that the Raiders ended up losing. Step 3 on the path of greatness is what happened in 2016-2017. That's when you start to win games by a little. You don't go in there and dominate, but you hang in there and you pull it off at the last second. 12-4 season, I think that goes without saying. And then there's the final step on the path to greatness, and that's when you go from losing a lot to losing a little to winning a little to winning a lot. And that's when you go in there and you see your true greatness shine, and you're out there beating teams by double digits like the elites in the NFL do, like the Patriots do, like the Cowboys are doing. Folks, just follow the chronology of Derek Carr's career. We saw him in his rookie year, losing by a lot. Sophomore year, losing by a little. Third year in, winning by a little. 2017, I think we know what's going to happen next. So like I said, it was an absolute bummer that the Raiders had to go out in this fashion they went out in. But you know what? By that same token, September's almost here, folks. And I think as great as the 2016-2017 season was, going 12-4, all those great nail-biter games, what's coming up ahead, 2017-2018, going to be even better. Go Raiders. Win, lose, or tie. Raider fan till I die. See you next year, folks.